Hey guys, I'm David Mitchell, founder and CEO of TRADEway. What if God himself gave you a blueprint for how to handle your money? Well, the Bible is a practical book. Let's dive in and see what it has to say about wealth, about risk, about leverage, and about investing, and uncover how trading in the stock market can be a powerful tool for moving towards your biggest goals. We're so happy you're here. This is The Word on Investing. Hey guys, welcome back to our podcast. Well, last episode we discussed what the Bible teaches about business success, and we covered the fact that God promises success to his children, but this promise of success is conditional. It's not an unconditional promise. There are things we have to do. And we gave examples last time from Scripture. One was we need to have a closer walk with God. And the second one was we need to be diligent. And the third one we discussed last time was skill sets and how important they are as a condition of God's promise. So today we're going to jump right into the skill sets, especially gaining the ability to have a successful family business in stock trading. So the first thing I want to talk about, some of this will be review, but I'll go a little deeper into it maybe than in previous episodes, but it's a thing that we call at TRADEway the three-legged trading table. And by that, I want you to picture a little table that has three legs in your house, and maybe you've got some pretty little things on top of it. What happens if one leg is knocked out? Well, the whole table falls and everything breaks. And that's kind of how stock trading is. Now, I want to remind you the difference between what we're talking about when we say stock trading versus long-term buy and hold investing. We're talking about the fact that by doing shorter-term trades, you have the potential to have higher returns. Now, we're not talking about day trading. We don't advocate that at TRADEway, and there are a lot of reasons for it. Probably find some of that in a lot of the previous episodes. But we're talking about position trading, where you let the market or the stock that you're in tell you when it's going to tend to go back down and rest a little bit, and then when it's going to bounce back up. And there are ways to do that. We'll talk about that in this section on skill sets, of course. So shorter term trades, you just think about it. A lot of people don't know this, but investing is not how we create wealth. Investing, long-term investing, is actually for people that already have wealth. And the whole world teaches that wrong. I mean, even in business school, they're going to teach you, you need to start investing when you're young so you can create wealth. Well, it doesn't work that way, because long-term investing is supposed to be safer, so it's more highly diversified, so you make a far lower return, and it's not all about wealth creation. That's about wealth preservation. And so we all need to have that. But if we're in a place in our life where we need to have the potential for wealth creation, then we need to talk about trading. It doesn't have to be trading stocks or stock options. It can be trading anything like cars. What if you learned how to, my friend Myron Golden that I mentioned in the last episode, when he was a young man, he learned how to go out and buy a junk car for $85 and get it running and sell it for $600. Now, if he did that all year long, he was creating some wealth. And why? Because he's trading cars. So trading is God's method to create wealth. So we're going to talk about how to do that in the stock and stock options markets. Well, when we're talking about trading, you need three legs on that table. And the biggest mistake I see people make that don't know this is they'll try to just trade with a chart. They'll try to learn how to do charting and think they can be successful. Well, there's a lot of studies that have been done in the area of statistics or probability math in the universities that prove that doesn't work. And those are correct studies. You can't just go by a chart and predict what the stock market's going to do. Now, here's the thing. Charting is extremely important, and most people are no good at all at it. They don't even know how to do it. We're going to make you just as close to an expert as we can make you at TRADEway on charting. But my point is, you can't just only use the chart. Maybe it's the most important part, but it can't be the only part. What else do we need? We need fundamental analysis, and we definitely need the technical analysis, but we also need market tone. So those are the three: fundamentals, technicals, and market tone. Well, let's talk about fundamentals first. What's that all about? Well, that's about finding companies that are growing. So there are basically two big categories of stocks. You can put all of them in one of these two. One is called growth stocks, and the other is called value stocks. Where we're going to teach you that you need growth stocks if you're talking about stock trading. If you're talking about long-term investing, maybe value stocks have a place, right? But we're talking about trading, and most people don't even know the difference. You need to be looking for growth stocks to create wealth. as opposed to long-term investing where we preserve the wealth. So growth stocks, what are they? Well, when you find companies that have double-digit earnings growth quarter to quarter, that's the biggest part of the definition of a growth stock, because that means it's a company like maybe Walmart used to be when it was a 3-year-old company. At that time, it hadn't grown to the place it is today, but it was growing there. Or think about Coca-Cola before they sold Cokes in China or India or Europe or South America or anywhere in the world. If you could have gotten in on that stock before they went global, it was still a growth company. Well, now it's a value company, right? It's a value stock. So you're looking for the new Coca-Colas, the new Walmarts, the new Dell computers. You're looking for companies that are that now. They're the new tech company, perhaps. It's just about to take off and go all the way around the world. That's a growth company. So I'll give you some examples. Now, remember, for you, depending on when you listen to this, these might be academic examples by then, but we're in November of 2021 right now, and you could look at a little stock called Workday. That stock was at $270 per share 3 weeks ago, but in the last 3 weeks, it's gone up $50 per share just in 3 weeks. So imagine if you had 1,000 shares of that, you would have made $50,000 in 3 weeks. All right. You say, well, I can't afford 1,000 shares because that would cost me $270,000, right? Well, if you learn to do options, it would only cost you $27 a share. You would leverage your money times 10. So you could get 1,000 shares for $27,000 and have the potential to make $50,000 in the same 3-week period. And we teach you these options skill sets at TRADEway. Now, Stryker is a second company. It moved from $260 a share to $280 in 1 week here recently. Now, think about that. If you had 1,000 shares of that, that would be $20,000 you could make in 1 week. Now, you cannot get those returns in long-term buy and hold investing. It just doesn't happen. You wouldn't even make that return in a whole year probably. But so trading is really important skill set to learn. And I'm just giving you some examples of growth stocks. Another one would be Square. That's the name of a great little company. You see these little devices that people use to hit your credit card with all kinds of businesses, like your barber probably uses it. Your hairdresser uses it. They use it all over the place. And this little company made that. Well, their stock went from $226 a share to $270 a share in 3 weeks. So if you learn how to trade these stocks as they roll up and down or trend up and down, it's an amazing skill set. And D.H. Horton is another great little growth company. It's a construction company. They build homes, and it just went from $84 to $98 per share in 1 month. Now, remember, this is just an academic example. You've got to learn the skill sets before you can start doing this. I know I'm a good enough teacher to make this seem really easy, but you need the skill sets and you need the support, you need the coaching. And we're also going to do a thing called small money trading before you start trading with larger amounts for your safety and all that stuff. So I'm just giving you academic examples to show you the kind of opportunities that are out there. So think about this. If you knew how to do options, that $84 stock, you could lock in a share for $8. So for $8,000, you could control 1,000 shares. And that thing went from 84 to 98. That would be a $14,000 profit in 1 month with just an $8,000 investment. So look at that return. I mean, that's almost 200% return right there in 1 month. And so, I mean, you just don't match that with long-term buy and hold investing. And yet the whole world teaches you that's what you need to learn to do. And they don't teach you how to do short-term trading. And you really have to learn that, I think, from families that know how to do it. And my 5 grown children and I decided quite a few years ago we would start sharing these techniques that I learned from my grandfather, that we would share them with brothers and sisters in Christ around the country. Boy, it's been fun. That's what we've been doing. All right, now here's what's cool. So when you go out to TRADEway.com/memberships, you're going to find Trader Pro and other memberships, and they all include this thing called a stock basket. Sometimes we call it the A+ list. But the point is, it's got usually around 100 of the best growth stocks in the world. Those are the right stocks, the growth stocks, right? Right now, Workday, Stryker, Square, D.H. Horton, I pulled them all off that A+ list that we've created for you guys. And 74 other great growth stocks are in there right now. And so guess what we've done? We have done the fundamental analysis for you. So we have that A plus list with these fantastic growth stocks. We also have another list, and it's called the less than $30 list. And that's if you don't want to trade options, then you need lower dollar stocks to be able to get more shares so you can leverage, right? So it usually has about 20 to 30 stocks in there that are less than $30 per share that you can actually buy the stock and do these trades with. And so really that is a great service at TRADEway where you can grab these stock lists. And it kind of saves you the time of having to do the fundamental analysis. But so fundamental analysis has to do with finding growth stocks. Secondly, finding companies that have great products, right? Great leadership is important. You know, they always say don't trade the horse, trade the jockey. So you need to know who the CEO is. You need to know if he's good. You need to know if Wall Street favors this guy. All those things you can find out. And then the next thing is the company innovative? I mean, do they have great new technologies, or have they discovered new technologies that are going to be the next great thing? That's what you're looking for under fundamental analysis. And another thing we used to do in the old days, and I used to spend all my time doing it basically, is running ratios on these companies. Things like earnings per share or the price earnings ratio, things like that. I mean, you basically got 4 different types of ratios. You got profitability ratios, you got liquidity ratios, you got activity ratios, debt ratios, all that stuff. And they do teach that in business school. So that's one thing you can learn in business school that helps later. But here's the thing. Do you really want to spend your whole life running ratios? Well, what's the best way to get that done now is to go out to TRADEway.com/memberships, take advantage of any of those memberships. And guess what? We've already done all that for you. We've run the ratios. We've done the fundamental analysis, and we just give you a list of roughly 100 of the greatest stocks you can choose from. Then you just go into that basket and choose the 3 or 4 or 5 you want to look at. So you're still picking your own stocks. You're just picking them from a basket where the fundamentals have already been done. And we, roughly once a month, we pull out the weaker ones, put in new, stronger companies. And so it's a fresh list all the time. All right, so that kind of covers fundamental analysis. It's kind of like TRADEway does it for you when you take advantage of our memberships. And now let's talk about technical analysis for a little bit. What is that about? That's using charting software to find patterns that stocks make and to draw support and resistance lines which create channels between which stocks often move up and down. And this is where I was talking about earlier, where you can actually not have to do the math. You can picture the probability math by learning how to use these support and resistance lines. Certain indicators will teach you how to use, and all about charting and the patterns. It's a way to visualize the probability that a stock's about to move down or that it's hit support and it's about to move up without actually having to do the math. So all of the mathematic formulas are built into the charting software for you. We just teach you how to use the charting software. So you don't even have to do the math. Isn't that fantastic news? But the math is done. Don't get me wrong. I mean, the way that you have success in stock trading is through probability math. It's how the big boys do it on Wall Street. And we're going to show you how to look at the same things they're looking at when they make their decisions. And the decisions they make kind of affect what we're going to do, because kind of what we're going to teach you to do is figure out what the big boys are jumping into, what stocks are they jumping into today, and we'll jump in after them as closely after they got in it as we can. And then we're going to show you how to figure out when they're about to jump out of that stock, and we're going to get out before they do. And think about it. That sounds simple, and it is a simple concept. And if you can learn to do that, you have the potential to make a lot of money because you're following what the big boys are doing, and they're the experts. And you don't have to spend all of the thousands of hours of time that they spend analyzing these stocks and so forth. So we're going to leverage their brains. We're going to leverage their work and their money and everything they're doing. So we're going to leverage by trading the moves of these stocks rather than just buying and holding them. All right. So let me give you a couple of examples of how this can work for you guys. I've taken a stock called Neophonics Corporation. It's a semiconductor company. And I've chose it because it's a low dollar stock. It's like $16 per share. And this was, if you go back to around January of 2021, that's about what it was selling for. So this is an academic example at this point, but the ticker symbol was NPTN. And by the way, ticker symbol just means 3 or 4 letters that are used to represent the stock. And that's what you would type into your charting software is the ticker symbol, and it'll pull up the chart of this company. And so we're going to take an example here where on May the 7th, 2020, we buy 1,000 shares of this little $8.28 stock. So our investment would be $1,280. That would buy us 1,000 shares because it's $8.28 a share. Now, by the way, that's our risk as well, isn't it? We have risked that much money into the market. Now, we're not going to teach you to start out trading 1,000 shares. We want you to do small money trading first and prove that you're keeping the rules and all of that. So this is an academic example. So now we put $8,280 into this trade, and we're going to represent the buy and hold method first, because that's what the world teaches. And let's just pretend you bought it and held it, and then all of a sudden in January 20th, 21, you decide, I'm going to get out of this one. And by then the stock's gone up to $12.50. So you sell your 1,000 shares for $12,500. So you subtract that from the $8,280 you put into the trade, and you made a profit of $4,220. Now that's pretty good because that's a 50% return, almost a 51% return. That's probably better than your, financial advisor's making for you, right? But he's not trading, he's investing long-term, better diversified, safer, and all that. So this is something you would do with just a small percentage of your total money. Stock trading, you're going to use 10 to 20%, not more. So, all right, so now let's take that same company. If you could visualize the chart of NPTN, this thing was not moving up. It wasn't moving down. It was rolling sideways. It was rolling up and down between about $8.28 and about $9.85, sometimes $10. And then it would roll back down to 8, would roll back up to 10. And it did that for about 8 months. It just kept rolling. So let's pretend that instead of buying it and holding it that whole time, we go in with the same exact risk, $8,280, and we buy 1,000 shares at $8.28 on May the 7th, 2020. So our investment is the same. It's $8,280. And instead of holding that and then selling it at $12.50 at the end of that time period, every time it rolls up and hits what we call a resistance line, which is lines we teach you to draw by looking at the chart, it's basically the high dollar that it tends to hit, and then it tends to roll back down. In this case, we want to get out a little bit before that line. So we draw what we call a trading line, and when it hits that line, we sell it. So it hits $9.85 on May the 12th, just a few days later, and we sell it for $9,850. Well, if you do the math, you subtract the $8,280 that you put in, that's a $1,570 profit just in 5 days. All right, so now you just wait and you let it roll back down to that $8.28 mark. And it does that by the 27th of May. And so now think about it. We just made $1,500. We have more money to trade with. So this time, instead of buying 1,000 shares, we can buy 1,180 shares. So now we're leveraging again because we're able to buy more shares because we're playing the roles, which only last a couple of weeks instead of holding it the whole 8 months, right? So now you can buy 1,180 shares at $8.30. And that thing, listen, by June the 5th, it has rolled back up to $9.90 and we sell it. That gives us another $1,888 profit. So now we have even more money. So this time we're going to buy 1,405 shares at $8.30. And we do that on June 25th. And then it rolls up by August 3rd. It rolls back up to $10 and we sell it. And we make $2,380 on that roll. Why are we making more? Because we're able to buy more shares every roll, right? We're taking the profits and putting it back into the trade. It rolls back down, and by December 4th, it's back down to $8.35. So we buy, this time, 1,680 shares, all with the new profits that we have. That costs us $14,028. And just a few days later, by January the 20th, 2021, it rolls up to $12.50, and we sell it for $21,000. That's a profit of $6,972. Now, if you add down the profit column, 1,570, 1,888, 2,389 plus 6,972, you get $12,819. So think about that now. If we do the buy and hold, the same investment, it's an $8,280 investment, we made $4,220. That's about a 51% return, right? But if you did the same trade with the same $8,280, but you played the roles during those 8 months, you make $12,800 profit in the same 8-month period. That is a 155% return. So which would you rather do, buy and hold or learn stock trading skill sets? So, I mean, it sort of proves out the Bible, doesn't it? Because the Bible says knowledge is better than gold. And just by gaining knowledge that most of the world never will teach you, they're going to teach you to buy and hold, and you go out to TRADEway.com and you learn how to do rolling stocks as a strategy. That is knowledge that you gain for your family. All of a sudden, you jump to $12,800 profit on the same $8,280 investment. Now, think about which one's safer. Okay, do you think it's safer to risk $8,280 to make $4,220? Or do you think it's safer to risk $8,280 to make $12,800? You see, risk return comes into play. It's a principle God put out there in the world. So we have potential to make a much higher return when we take a little bit more risk. And that's just God's way. So this is great to learn these skill sets and learn, more and more how to do this. Now listen, we've got over 45 strategies we teach now at TRADEway. And this is just one of them. So imagine, now I'm not saying you should master 45 strategies, because the reason we have that many is two things. You need to know several strategies because you can't do the same type of trade at all times in the life cycle of a market. As the life of the market changes, sometimes you have to change your strategy. So you need several, but you're not going to master all 41. But also we have those to fit your personality, your risk tolerance. Some trades I might love to do because I like risk more than you do, and others are safer. You might choose them. So you're just going to choose, 6, 7, 8, maybe 10 out of those and master them. And if you go out to TRADEway.com/memberships and you get involved with Trader Pro before December 1st, 2021, guess what? You're going to lock in our launch pricing of Trader Pro, and you'll get the most benefits at the lowest prices you will ever have access to for this membership. So think about that. And you go out to TRADEway.com/memberships. You're going to find memberships like Trader Pro that can help you master these skill sets, but also you get this fantastic support where you have coaches, you have live trading during market hours with coaches and students. You got all these kinds of support things where we hold your hand and teach you how to get to the place where you now have the potential to change your family's financial future with the skill sets. So now you get a closer walk with the Lord. You learn to be diligent and keep working at this. And then you gain these skill sets. And God promises, well, if you do those conditions, I'm going to help your family put a moat around your castle. I'm going to help your family have the protection of wealth creation so that you can have all the blessings that the Bible talks about in that area. Well, that's what we want for you guys, and we sure hope you enjoyed the show today. If you did, would you go out there and rate and review it for us? And that way, if there's someone out there that's interested in the same things you are, it'll help them find us. All right, guys, have a great day.